Hello, my name is Leslie Williams, and today I'll be presenting to you a sustainable energy profile of Idaho. Thanks for listening. Just a brief overview of what I'll be talking about. I will initially provide the current energy profile, which includes the amount of energy sources and types that they produce and consume. Following that, an evaluation of the types of resources available in the state. And then I'll present to you the environmental issues associated with each energy source. Lastly, I'll predict the future energy demands for 2038 and then provide a new energy profile for that. Idaho is ranked 43rd in energy production as of 2016. This graph below provides evidence that they produce the majority of their energy from renewables. Within renewables, this includes hydropower, wind, geothermal, and solar, with the majority of that production being from hydropower. They also produce about 8.2 trillion BTUs from biofuels. There's a little bit of energy produced from crude oil, which is 1.2 trillion BTU. And then following that, natural gas, they produce about 5.1 trillion BTU. The total number of renewable energy that they produce is 132.4 trillion BTU. Idaho consumes a much larger amount of energy than it produces. They are ranked 23rd in energy consumption, but they were ranked 43rd in energy production. 3/4 of the amount of energy that they consume is from out of the state. As you can see from the graph on the left, they consume a lot of hydroelectric power, and they produce a lot of hydroelectric power. They consume 83.4 trillion BTU, but they produce 132.4 trillion BTU of energy in renewables. Now that is a cumulative number of all the renewables, not including biofuels, but most of that is produced from hydroelectric power. The largest amount of energy consumed is from natural gas, and most of that is from out of the state. They only produce 5.1 trillion BTU, while they consume 110 trillion BTU. Because the state is largely powered from renewables, they rank 44th in carbon dioxide emissions. Most of the energy is consumed from industrial and transportation uses. There is also a large amount consumed from residential. So what resources are available in Idaho? For renewables, hydropower is a very viable option. There are lots of rivers running throughout the state, and it's very mountainous, and the state is utilizing that landscape already. A large amount of what energy is produced is from hydropower. Biomass is also being utilized. The majority of that power is from corn, and they're using that to produce ethanol. Geothermal is a very high option for Idaho as well due to volcanic landscape and the hotspots located there. Wind power is also being used, although I think it could be utilized more. The EIA website states that there's not a lot of land available for that. Solar power is largely used in the rural areas. There is a farm in Boise, Idaho, and that powers 9,020 homes. For the availability of non-renewables, the state actually doesn't have a lot of availability for that. There are no coal plants anywhere there. I think there's just about one. There are a few reservoirs, but according to EIA, there's no coal mining. Most of that comes from Wyoming and Utah. Back to natural gas. There are very few plants within the state, and they consume a lot of natural gas. And that is largely from Canada. Petroleum Idaho doesn't have any refineries for petroleum. That comes in from Utah and Montana. And then crude oil does come from wells that were drilled for natural gas. And lastly, there are no nuclear power plants in the state of Idaho. So some environmental issues that are concerned with the main energy resources that are being produced in Idaho. Natural gas does give off greenhouse gases. That is much better than the carbon dioxide from coal, but still not ideal. Hydropower does cause sometimes fish deaths and changes the oxygen levels within the water, which also results in fish death. However, aeration systems can be installed upstream and downstream of the dams to replenish the oxygen levels and make that environment suitable for the fish. Two articles that I had read did mention a very large number of fish deaths at two separate dams, and both of those seemed to be from situations when construction was going on and new units were being put in. For biomass, an environmental concern with that is with burning certain things it would release carbon dioxide. However, that is a considerably smaller amount than burning coal. Based off of population growth studies, there is about a 1.83% growth rate per year in the state of Idaho. So it is estimated that the population will reach 2,446,401 people when 2038 rolls around. That would mean that energy demands would be roughly 372 million BTU, whereas right now it's 315 consumed per capita. So with that, we need to come up with a different energy profile to sustain this amount of growth. The pie chart on the left shows the different sources of energy production. They produce about 5,226 megawatts, with the majority of this being from hydro power and then also natural gas and then other renewables. So for the increased population of 2038, I'd like to pose a different energy profile. The state will need to produce more energy for the growing population and also in hopes that they would rely on other states and Canada less than they currently do. With this new pie chart, it looks as though the demand of using hydro would decrease. However, that is because I've introduced a new energy source for the state, which is nuclear. With this new profile, that changes all the percentages. So I will go through each one to clarify which resources I have decreased the use of and increased. So, as stated a minute ago, I would definitely like to use nuclear power in the state. With that, hydropower would stay the same. They should continue the amount of usage with hydropower. Natural gas, I would like to decrease the use of that. As we know, you cannot solely rely on renewables. Fossil fuels will still be needed, but I think that decreasing natural gas would be very beneficial for the environment. This would reduce the amount of greenhouse gases released and would definitely be better. For wind power, I would like to increase that usage also. Currently, one of the plants produced with just 15 wind facilities, they produced a lot of electricity, and I would like to increase that amount. I think solar power should also be increased in the state, whether that is by creating another farm or if that is from encouraging residents to implement solar panels and to heat their homes and for electricity. I also think that biomass usage could be increased, utilizing the waste from landfills and also utilizing dairy waste. It is a very agricultural state, and so they could use that. Geothermal is also should be increased. They have an 18 megawatt facility already and is in construction for a larger amount, but I think another facility could also be implemented. And then on this next slide, I have included a map here on the right, and it shows how hazardous it is for an earthquake in that state. So there are definitely some low hazard zones in the state. I have included a blue envelope in this drawing, where anywhere in this envelope I think it would be ideal to build a new nuclear power plant. Obviously the top right part of this envelope would be most ideal since it's the blue low hazard zone. The green is not going to affect it too much as the nuclear power plant in Alabama is located in the green region, so that would be efficient. The top of the state would not be ideal because it has a mountainous region. I would not recommend putting one there as that would be very hard to construct. With this new nuclear power plant, it would definitely be a good option in order to produce enough energy for the increased population and in hopes that the state would rely on other states less and rely on Canada less as well. With this new profile, greenhouse gases should definitely go down. The state is ranked 44th in carbon dioxide emissions, So it's not a terrible concern, but they definitely need to reduce that amount of emissions. And so with decreasing natural gas, that would lower the greenhouse gas emissions. Biomass will increase carbon dioxide releasing. However, I think it would be exchangeable since they're decreasing natural gas usage, and the biomass would not give off near as much carbon dioxide. So with all of that being said, this is my new future energy production profile for Idaho. Thank you for listening.